Let's discuss one of the unassailable facts of the culinary world. Whether you're 3 or 93, chicken nuggets and tater tots are a delightful meal. Not too fancy per se, but smashable all the same. However, if you've ever dared to turn over a bag of frozen nuggets and read the ingredient list, you might have thought twice about serving them up for yourself or your family. Fear that no more. For today, we are making chicken nuggets and tater tots at home. A little more work than opening up a bag of frozen chicken, but well worth it. And the best part is, this dish can be completely frozen once you're done with whatever you're eating this evening, so that you'll only be a few minutes away from nug and tot glory next time. Our tots will begin with 2 russet potatoes, medium to large size, which we will need to peel and then cut in half. Once that's done, you're going to want to get a come on back. You're going to want to get a pot with water, season it with salt, add your potatoes, bring to a boil, and cook for 5 to 6 minutes. We're only par cooking them at this point. Once that's done, go ahead and drain them and then let them cool to room temperature so that they can be easily handled without burning your hands. At that point, you're going to get a large bowl and a box grater, and you're just going to grate the potatoes on the largest hole. That's kind of bright. There we go. You're going to grate the potatoes on the largest holes of your box grater until they resemble, well, hash browns. Now, this wouldn't be dishing out without some green onions, so you're going to want to finely slice up 2 or 3 green onions, just the green parts here. Oh yeah. Grab your potatoes, which you have finished grating, and slide all of your green onions in. We're going to season these tots with a few different things, starting with some red pepper flakes, about a ½ teaspoon of garlic powder, a ½ teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of paprika, of course, fresh cracked pepper, and a generous pinch of salt. And then we're going to add in about 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, dangerous game holding it over the bowl like that, and about 1 to 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Then you're just going to work this very aggressively with your hands. There's still water and starch in those potatoes, and we want to get that out so that it can mix with the flour and cornstarch and turn into kind of like a potato paste that's going to help these tots bind and stay together. Once everything feels relatively homogeneous and it's come together, we can attempt to clean our hands off, but you're going to need some warm water for that, and then we can begin to form our tots. So, grab a small ball, about tablespoon worth, roll it between your 2 middle fingers and your palm, using your other hand to square off the ends. Here, I'll show you again a little slower. Take your future tot, roll it between your 2 middle fingers and your palm, spinning it around, using your other hand to square off the ends. How perfect you make these is really up to you. You'll see here in a second I didn't get too obsessive with it, but that's the general idea. I'm going to pound out a few more here. And once they're done, just stick them in the fridge to rest while we turn to our nugs. I put 1 pound of ground chicken breast, which is almost fat-free, along with 1 pound of ground chicken that's got some thigh meat in there as well, got a little more flavor. Get that into a large bowl, remove any desiccant paper please, thank you. And our seasonings here are going to look pretty similar to our tots. Cracked pepper, fresh salt, garlic powder, about a ½ teaspoon again, maybe a full teaspoon. Chicken can take some flavor. A teaspoon of onion powder. Some paprika. And then, who doesn't love a spicy nugget, right? I'm gonna go in with about a ¼ cup of hot sauce. That is completely optional, but I highly recommend it. And then which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, in this case it was the chicken, but we're still going to add an egg. We need something to help bind these nuggets together so they don't totally fall apart when we go to bread them and fry them. Once you've got all of your ingredients in your bowl, just go in there with man's best kitchen tools, your clean hands, and mix everything together until it is very thoroughly combined. Alright, once that's done, in order to form our nuggets, we'll need a large baking tray lined with parchment paper, something that's non-stick, some cold water. Just wet your fingertips so that the chicken doesn't stick to them too bad. Form them into a little ball, down onto the parchment paper, and then press them out into whatever nugget shape your heart desires. Again, just grab the chicken into a ball, put it down on the parchment, and form it into nuggets. Once you've got this done, you're going to put them into a freezer for 1 hour, a very important step that helps keep the nuggets in shape while we bread them. Alright, speaking of that breading, we're going to put some flour down into a plate or baking dish, whatever you've got handy, about a cup worth, and then 2 more eggs, which we are going to beat, and add a couple tablespoons of water to the egg just to thin it out, get that right consistency. Once you've got your flour and egg wash station set up and your nuggets have been frozen for an hour, it's time to bread. You'll notice how they're firm, not bending or falling apart as we toss them around in the flour and the egg. First into the flour, then in the egg, then back in the flour for a double coating. You really want to make sure you get all sides. These nuggets are a little craggly and oddly shaped, so take your time, make sure that you are coating it thoroughly in both the flour and the egg wash. And that's it. It's a labor of love, I tell you. Go ahead and work out the rest of your nuggets. I would recommend doing all of them in this process, and then you can freeze them once they have been cooked. That way you'll have nuggets and tots at the ready at all times. Speaking of cooking, we'll do our tots first. I've got a large, high-walled stainless steel skillet filled with vegetable oil heated to 350 degrees. I'm just going to add in my tots in a single layer. You'll note that there's just enough oil to cover the tots, but not enough that it's going to overflow the pan. Once you get them all in, stir them gently to make sure they do not stick to the bottom of the pan or to one another. And because we worked all of that starch out of the potatoes, these are going to get very deeply golden brown, but they're not burned. They just have a very potato-y flavor. They only take about 3 to 4 minutes to cook. Again, you can cool them and drain them and eat them now, or let them cool to room temperature and pop them in a freezer bag and store in the freezer. Next up, our nugs go in. Again, don't overcrowd the oil here. I made my nuggets pretty big, so it's hard to say how many you can get in there. I think I got about 8 cooking right now. Once they're all in and that outside coating is set, give them a little stir so that they don't stick to one another or to the bottom of the pan. And again, these only need about 3 to 4 minutes to cook all the way through, provided your oil is at proper temperature. Give them a flip to ensure even cooking, and when they're nice and golden brown, you can get them out. Just like with the tots, if you're going to eat these right away, we can get them plated up with some honey mustard. If not, cool to room temperature and pop them in the freezer. All you need is about 8 or 10 minutes in a 400-degree oven to reheat. But if we are going to eat them now, we need a sauce. So, 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon of yellow mustard, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 1 tablespoon of whole grain stone ground mustard. I know it's a lot of mustards, but everyone has a different flavor and everyone is worth including. Season that up with some pepper and salt, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of honey, which you may need to get from 2 different bears because the first one ran out. Once that's all in there, mix it together very thoroughly, and I promise you, you will have life-changing honey mustard at the ready. Alright, so I know no one actually plates up nuggets and tots, but I couldn't resist adding a few green onions just for the thumbnail. But let's see what these taste like. Beautiful crispy brown exterior, totally crunchy. Still soft and pillowy on the inside. Great onion and garlic flavor from the garlic powder and the green onions that we added. These nuggets are crispy, crunchy on the outside. Can't wait for this honey mustard. They're still moist, chewy on the inside. Totally delicious. I hope you'll give this a try and let me know what you think.